No problem. Welcome.
Welcome. Thank you.
Welcome, Dana.
Hi. Thanks.
Yeah, no
Thanks for
worries.
having me.
Yeah, for sure, for sure. And we're doing immunity boosting kick-ins today, which we're excited about. And
Mm,
it's really, we're doing a mini series now. We're doing kick-ins, kick-outs, and kick-ups, right?
yeah. Yeah. It's
Yeah,
exciting.
yeah, I'm excited for that too.
So today's the
And
kick-ins.
today is kick-ins. You kick things in, and
Ooh.
you're talking about. I'm wondering what we should kick into our immunity boosting, and really, it's like wide open. And I know that you're going to share what it is we should kick in. So we have sort of like three segments, as you know, with the two songs. So go ahead and
You want me to
share with us.
start?
Yes,
Yeah, and I'm going to
please.
try to go live on Clubhouse and do the tech stuff while you guys are doing that.
All right.
Go for
Okay.
it.
So you want me to start?
Yeah.
Alrighty. Okay. So I gave a lot of thought to what are like the kind of three main ones we want to kick in, meaning things we want to try and incorporate to give us optimal health and wellness. And as a holistic nutritionist and wellness expert, I'm always thinking of simple things that people can do that, not added supplementation necessarily, but little things they can incorporate into their life so that they can be healthier and happier and have a stronger immune system. So the first category would be fermented foods with vitamin D. So
Mm.
that's the kind of first kick in.
Is there a
And
specific food, or is it just fermented foods in general?
okay, so and the reason I say fermented foods is because when we think about, oh, bless you, that's one of my little ones. Sorry,
Hi, little
bless you.
one.
I know we. When we think about immunity, we want to think about gut health. And there's a lot of things that people do or take that actually negatively impact the gut. So, a simple way to infuse the body with goodness and good bacteria is incorporating fermented foods. Because you can go and take probiotics, but I always like to give people ideas of how to incorporate, improve their health with foods first. So, fermented foods, like some examples of fermented foods would be yogurts, tempeh, miso, sauerkraut, even apple cider vinegar. So using apple
Mm.
cider vinegar in a salad dressing instead of other types of vinegar, that gives you good bacteria. What helps improve your gut health, gives a better balance of good and bad bacteria, and replenishes the bacteria. If you've ever been on antibiotics, you drink alcohol, you eat sugar. So fermented foods are a great way just to be optimally healthy. And so that's one of the tricks I give to clients. Now, something to be mindful of when it comes to fermented foods is with yogurts. The biggest thing I say to clients is you're better off buying plain yogurt and adding flavor to it yourself, because a lot of the pre-made yogurts are loaded with sugar, and sugar feeds bad bacteria. So we don't want to feed the bad bacteria. We want to give ourselves good bacteria. And also sugar, it compromises the immune system as well. So we want to, like if you want to go for yogurts and you can tolerate dairy, that's great. My kids eat goat's yogurt, and then I'll add a bit of honey. And if you add manuka honey, that actually is also very therapeutic, and that's another topic. But
No, this
there's
is great
various.
because of those foods, right? I love sweets, and I love the fermented foods too, and I love the sour. And then immediately when I was like switching my diet and going through those things and watching my sugar intake, I'm like, I really like sweet things. What can I do to replace that? So I realized that in eating natural foods and then having the fermented foods, the normal foods that I usually had to sweeten became sweet. I could actually taste the sweetness in there. But what would be helpful for the transition in the sweet? Because I know sugar is probably the most consumed substance on the planet next to maybe caffeine, I would think.
Yeah.
So if there's any thoughts there, that'd be really helpful.
Well, and it's interesting because there's really easy ways to like flavor yogurt. And actually, I'm going to talk about fruits and vegetables in the next category. But one of my tricks that I use for sweetening, like say plain yogurt, would be, oh, and I always say go for full fat, because just remember, things that naturally have fat in it, when they take away the fat, they add more sugar to give it flavor, because fat and sugar and salt, they kind of enhance flavor, right? So, but for yogurt, plain yogurts, what I do is I get frozen berries, and I get like half a cup, and you let them thaw overnight, and then you get the fiber from the fruit and vegetables. You get all the vitamins and minerals from the fruits and the frozen fruit, but then you get the flavor from the juice of the fruit, the natural flavor. And then you add that to the yogurt, and it is just so flavorful. And
so good.
Like a triple whammy. Like it's so beneficial in so many ways.
And
that's
add
one
some,
way.
Add some Manuka honey in there.
Yeah. And that's good for the throat.
That sounds amazing. Amazing.
That's cool. I have been starting to eat this thing, and I actually eat it late at night too when I have like the hunger thing going on. But it's been the Yoso yogurt. Is that okay? That vegan one?
Yeah. I mean, here's the thing. I love coconut yogurt. And so Yoso is a good option. Just always be mindful of, if you're getting the flavored yogurts, what are they adding to it in order to enhance the flavors? But not everyone tolerates dairy. So if you don't tolerate dairy and you want to go for an alternative, then go for it. Everything is moderate.
I can do dairy though.
Then do full fat.
So do full fat but non-GMO, right?
Yeah, like if you can do organic and non-GMO, that's ideal, because essentially, and then organic, I always encourage people to do organic, like when it comes to anything. But when it comes to animal products, we want as close to having less and less toxins, hormone, antibiotic free. So organic kind of is an umbrella that kind of is supposed to protect us. And also part of immunity, if we have too many toxins in our body, it compromises immunity. So organic is always great. You're right. And non-GMO, well, we don't know the impact of GMOs on our bodies. So yeah, that would be great too.
Yeah, because what I'm doing is I'm trying to reduce sugar. So the thing that I've done, I think you might have seen it on my Instagram, is I put the nuts and seeds in it. And then I'm putting, what else am I putting in it? A little cinnamon. And then I'm putting in the shavings from my kale chips. I have these kale chips, right? And they can get the spicy ones or the salty ones. I'm putting that in it too, right? Which is amazing. And then I guess I could also put some quinoa in there, couldn't I?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you can pretty much do anything when it comes to creating like a balanced meal. When it comes to yogurt, it's not limited at all. Like I encourage people to make their own granola if they're going to do granola. And you can flavor it accordingly. Cinnamon's great because it also helps regulate blood sugar. So that's another thing. So yeah, there's so many things you can do.
Dana, I got to ask you, these are really radical changes, right, in diet and things like that. And I'm wondering if you could share in your own life what was the aha moment of like, I really, really, really need to be taking care of myself and what I'm taking in. If you could share a bit about that, I'm very curious.
Yeah. For me, well, it's been quite the journey. So I used to have terrible cystic acne as a teenager, and I wasn't too heavy, but I was very athletic. But I was definitely I'm lucky I was athletic. I didn't eat very well. I had mental health issues. Lots of depression, some anxieties, mood challenges. But then the most obvious was the cystic acne. And as I changed my eating, so as I shifted to, wanting to meet boys and, wanting to wear certain outfits, and I got more and more into fitness, I kind of changed my eating. And it was a lot of, high protein, lower carb, but I started eating better, like more vegetables, more fruits, proteins. And then the big factor for me was when I was working for Franklin Templeton Investments, an investment firm, and I started getting really sick. Like I started being bedridden, digestive distress. I couldn't go into work. And so I really looked into what I was doing to fuel my body. And it's before I became a holistic nutritionist. And I realized how imbalanced my eating still was, how I was avoiding fats and I wasn't drinking enough water, and I was relying on caffeine to stay awake. And I knew how to eat well. And if I wanted to lose weight, I could lose weight. But was I really nourishing my body as well as I could? And I wasn't. So that's what actually led me to become a holistic nutritionist. So I could really fuel my body well for success.
That's amazing. Thank you for your vulnerability and sharing your story, because you sharing your story gives other people permission to explore something different in their life and something to change. So what was the first thing when the aha moment, what was the first thing that you shifted with what we say kick in? What did you kick in to yourself? What was the first thing that you did when you noticed that you had to change?
You know what? It was actually the kick-ins. It was kind of eating real food. But it was also getting rid of foods that were causing inflammation in my body. It was getting rid of so dairy and gluten, that was predominantly my diet when I was younger. And really getting that under control and cutting out a lot of the crap. Because I was eating, real food, but not to the extent as I am now. But you know what it would be? Was healthy fats.
Which ones?
So there was eating more seafood, like eating more like seeds, so like pumpkin seeds and like sunflower seeds, and really not being afraid of eating fat. Like that was there. I mean, you guys remember the trend? Don't eat fat. Fat makes you fat.
No, exactly. And then you name some the two very important seeds to me, which are pumpkin seeds and sunflower seeds. And there's is it oleic acid in one of the seeds? It's sunflower, or is it in both?
I'm trying to. It would be in both. It would be in both.
But there's something in there that the fat with that actually affects the pH of the body, which helps with the inflammation. And we've got the omega-3s, omega-6s, and 9s in those two as well.
Well, so omega-3 fats are anti-inflammatory. So if you have too much omega-6 and not enough omega-3, or you don't have the right balance, your body will be inflamed. So omega-3 fats are key. And that could be another, now kick in. But omega-3 fats are essential for reducing inflammation, promoting circulation. And that is what we need. And so as I cut out dairy and gluten for me, and I incorporated healthy fats, like world of a difference for me.
Like workouts were getting easier, they're a little bit effortless because the circulation's there, and the fat and we'll say we put the oil in the engine and it runs smoothly.
Yeah.
Right? So we definitely need fats, but the healthy fats. So I know that we can get omega-3s from fish oils, but omega-3s we can get from seeds and chia seeds and things like that as well. What's your favorite vegan, omega-3 supplement?
My favorite vegan supplement. Well, okay, so one of the three of the main ones I use would be hemp, flax, and chia. Okay. But with the flaxseed, just be mindful that the shell of the flax can be hard for us to break down. So it's usually better if we get ground, but you just have to leave it in the fridge, because once once the flaxseed is ground, it's more sensitive to becoming rancid. So you got to keep it in the fridge and keep it sealed.
Okay, good tips. Thank you.
How do we, talking about putting things in and getting things out, what do we put in to get some music around here?
Yeah.
A request.
Inspiration and request. Yeah.
No, I was enjoying the conversation. The conversation is music.
It is. I agree.
We take in that information, the good information, that's like music to our nervous system about, oh my God, I'm feeding myself properly. I can actually rest and relax and let my body do what it does best to nourish itself.
And as you know, I believe it's all sound, frequency, and vibration. And food's vibration, the music is vibration, our love and our hearts are vibration, our feelings are vibration, everything that we experience. So thanks very much.
So this is a song dedicated to everyone and me, but me first because I wrote it to myself. But it applies to everyone. But self-care and loving yourself first is the most important. So I took a turn writing songs for myself, which was weird at first. And then I was like, I'm going to write love songs to myself. So here we go.
Hey, I want to find my way home. I feel so alone in my head. So instead I find my love inside my longing heart. Explore you to be by my side. Oh, I can't live without your love anymore. And I won't live without your heart anymore. When I look out through your eyes, my heart beats so hard inside. Arms wide open, deep embracing, loving, holds my heart out in the light. And I realize, oh, I can't live without your love anymore. Ooh. Oh, I won't live without your heart anymore. Oh, I won't live without your love anymore. Oh, I won't live without your heart anymore. Thank you.
And that song's called I Won't Live Without Your Love. Talking to myself. Just those breaking moments of like, if you don't love me, we ain't gonna make it. You know, and that includes boundaries, and that includes immunity, and that includes what we put in, and then allows us to create that safe container inside of us. And you know, home is where my heart is. Like wherever my heart is, I'm home. And that's like a fantastic breakthrough for me. So that's what that song's about. Thank you for letting me share that.
Yeah, thanks for your vulnerability and giving us the background and also writing the song. It's a beautiful song, Phil.
Thanks, man. Thank you.
You're welcome. You're welcome. And welcome to Katerina and those on Instagram and other platforms. And I know, Danna, you wanted to go. You had your second segment item that you want to sort of talk about. What was the first one again? It was.
Well, the first one was fermented foods and vitamin D. We kind of didn't go much into vitamin D. Do you want me just to touch on that one quickly before we go into fruits and vegetables?
Do it.
All right. Now, so vitamin D, one of the reasons that I always now speak to vitamin D when speaking about immunity, because there have been numerous studies, especially with COVID and with everything that's going on, there have been studies that have shown that a lot of patients that get hospitalized due to COVID, there's a correlation between hospitalization and being vitamin D deficient. And so we want to make sure that, vitamin D acts like a hormone. So we want to make sure we have a good vitamin D status to even prevent things like MS. Like one of my sisters recently got diagnosed with MS, and she was very deficient in vitamin D. So there's many reasons why we want to have the right vitamin D status. And living in Canada and living in the Northern Hemisphere, it is highly suggested that everybody supplement with vitamin D for a couple of reasons. One, we really actually don't see a lot of sunlight in the colder months. And so we will need to supplement throughout the colder months. There's also a couple other factors that impact people's vitamin D status, and that would be people who wear sunscreen. So one of the ways we actually produce vitamin D in our own body is we get the ultraviolet rays from the sun combined with cholesterol, and we produce vitamin D. If you're wearing sunscreen and that's blocking the ultraviolet rays, you're not able to produce vitamin D on your own. So you'll need to supplement. Either that, or something I say to my clients is go outside, get 10 to 20 minutes of sun exposure, and then put on the sunscreen in the warmer months, because then at least you're getting sunlight naturally. Another thing is, for anyone who's on cholesterol lowering medication, you need cholesterol to produce vitamin D in your body with the ultraviolet rays. If you're on cholesterol lowering medication, you may not be able to actually create vitamin D on your own. And then there's also genetics. Some people genetically have an issue with their own vitamin D production. So like even Health Canada has recommendations now, and the range, depending on kids to adults, it can go from 600 international units a day up to 4,000. So we really need to be mindful of how are we getting vitamin D, and you can actually get it from food sources as well. So we need to, like, I always like to suggest to people, like, vitamin D, you can get it from, salmon, like fatty fish, egg yolks, liver, but also you can get it from leafy greens, mushrooms, and tofu. So I always like to give, animal sources of foods, but also vegetarian sources. And then there's also some of the dairy products and other products are vitamin D fortified. But I really always suggest to my clients, vitamin D is something we all need to supplement with almost year round, depending on how much sun exposure you get and other factors as well.
Okay. Thank you for the reminder of that with the MS, right? So I was diagnosed with MS in 2005, and I don't know if you know that, but the doctor's recommendations were up to 10,000 IU a day to heal to repair the nervous system. Now the recommendations are, like you said, like between 600 to 4,000. What's the difference with like super supplementing if you're that deficient?
Well, so here's the thing. In order to recommend supplementation, we really should have like something to work with. So you really need to get tested. Unfortunately, testing actually isn't mandated in Canada, which blows my mind, because people in the Northern Hemisphere, there's a higher incidence of MS in the Northern Hemisphere. And so if only more people would get tested, and then they have something to work with. So if you're deficient by a certain amount, then you know how much to supplement, because supplements shouldn't be used indefinitely unless we know there's an imbalance. Like supplements, if we can get everything from food, that's great, but let's supplement according to our needs. And so, yeah, like for someone with MS, you would have been significantly deficient, you would have to go extremely high doses, but those are therapeutic doses, and you need to be guided by a professional.
Right, exactly. So you bring up a great point with the therapeutic dose and like a maintenance dose.
Yeah.
So depending on where you're at, I guess, and what you feel, and then who you consult with. So how does somebody reach out to you to gather all this information? Because I'm assuming you're allowed to do this under the laws and regulations in Canada, to organize somebody's health profile so that you can help them figure out where they need to rebalance and supplement.
I'm available. I've got my company's Unique Balance. So I can get access through my website. I'm also very visible on Instagram and through Facebook. So there's various ways to get a hold of me. My website's UniqueBalance.ca, and I am happy to work with anyone. And if it's out of my scope of ability, then I will refer people without a doubt. But for me, it's getting people back to basics, making sure they're supplementing. Like, I've got COVID in my house right now. My eldest son tested positive. As soon as he was feeling off, down into his basement, isolated, I would drop off food and supplements. He had flu-like symptoms for 2 days, but he was doing over 4,000 international units a day by far. I think we were up to about 8,000. And vitamin C, there was various things we did, but I was very aggressive with his supplements because he's deficient. He's obviously deficient. His immune system's compromised. But he bounced back very quickly, and I firmly believe it's because we supplemented accordingly, and he's a healthy person.
That's good to hear. I'm happy to hear. I have to hear that you intervened with natural supplements and you restored balance that quickly. That's amazing. Now, is this something that if people are scared, because that's going to lower the immunity, if people are scared, is this something that they should be doing day to day right now in the conditions that we're in? Super supplementing vitamin C and vitamin D. Those are the two things that you had mentioned with your son.
Yeah. Well, vitamin D, you want to do it with vitamin K, because vitamin K aids in the absorption of vitamin D. You also want to make sure healthy fat, because vitamin D is a fat soluble vitamin. So you need fat in order for your body to make use of it. And then you also high vitamin C. There's various studies that show that any nutrient deficiency can actually make you more susceptible to illness and disease. So vitamin C is one of those vitamins that you get from fruits and vegetables, but is sensitive to heat. So if you cook food all the time, that you're impacting the vitamin C status of a food. But high vitamin C, high vitamin D, there's various things like Manuka honey when you come into contact with COVID, but these are things that people need to be mindful of. Like, you may not get as sick, or you might you'll have a stronger immune system. When you do get sick, you'll be able to fight it better if you have if you're consuming the right nutrients, if you're getting the right nutrients for your body's needs. That's why I say everyone should be supplementing with vitamin D. It definitely impacts your health. And vitamin C, when you get sick, me and the kids supplement like vitamin C like crazy. And especially now, people are fearful. If they're taking care of their body and giving them what it needs, they have to be less worried.
Okay, so sorry, I'm cutting you off.
Yeah, no worries. So it's vitamin D with K and cholesterol, and then vitamin C. And I want to just check in with Katerina. How are you doing, Katerina? Where are you coming in from today?
I'm calling from home, right? I work at home.
Where do you live?
Young and Eglinton in Toronto.
Oh, you're in Toronto. That's fabulous. Yeah, we have people from all over the world come and join us.
Yeah. No, I am in Toronto.
Well, thank you for being with us. Do you have any questions?
Yeah, I have a question. Actually, I do take about 5,000 to 6,000 IU of the vitamin D and daily, and I take about 2,400 to 3,000 of vitamin C.
Great.
I think, I was surprised. I didn't know about the cholesterol. I have a high cholesterol. I take the medication for that. So I guess that's good what I take, right? Or I know this is interesting. In France, they quite routinely, they give you, it's a vial with oil, which has 100,000 international units of the vitamin D, and you can take it only once in 3 months, which is because apparently the vitamin D does stay in the body. It doesn't, go away like vitamin C. And for people who would not take it consistently, this works, or it's also a good boost. But I don't think it's available here in North America.
We need to get that in here. We need to be the provider or supplier of that. That would be like so amazing to have that every couple of months.
Right. Yeah. I think it's because my daughter, she lives in France, so that's why I know. So every now and then I get it from her.
Oh, beautiful.
So you're the international supplier now.
More of international supplier of the knowledge, right? Or
Sure. That's beautiful. That's beautiful.
Yeah.
So let's go to a song, Phil.
Yes. Here, rebel song. This is wonderful information. Thank you, Danna. Thank you, Katerina, for sharing.
Oh, pirates, yes, they rob I, sold out to the merchant ship. Minutes after they took I from the bottomless pit. But my hand was made strong by the hand of the Almighty. We forward in this generation triumphantly. So won't you help to sing these songs of freedom? That's all I ever had. Redemption. song, redemption song. Emancipate yourself from mental slavery. None but ourselves can free our mind. Have no fear for atomic energy, 'cause none of that will stop the time. How long shall we kill our prophets, or while we stand aside and look? No, some say it's just a part of it. We've got to fulfill the book. So won't you help to sing these songs of freedom? That's all I ever had. Redemption song, all I ever had. Redemption song, redemption song, redemption song.
Yeah.
Yeah. None but ourselves. None but ourselves can free our mind. Nobody's gonna do it for us.
Yeah, really?
Like, emancipate ourselves, right? Emancipate yourself from mental slavery, right? Like, these thoughts and what are driven in here, like, they subconsciously run the nervous system, and it's up to us to choose differently. And that's like a mental immunity, right? And a spiritual immunity we're talking about now. So, you know, the physical body, providing safety in the physical body is going to help with that mental immunity and spiritual immunity. I'm curious around if there's any foods that talk to or speak to specifically mental health, and I know we want to target the gut as well. But like, you know, sometimes those thoughts are really loud, and I need to soothe them with a big chocolate bar.
Yeah. So what is it? What are those next foods?
Like
What are those next foods that would help with our immunity and help with our mindfulness and our ability?
So when it comes to mental health, there is a big correlation between mental health and B vitamins. Let's see. Can you hear me okay?
Yeah.
Okay, perfect. So there's a very big correlation between B vitamins and mental health. Also a big issue currently with B vitamins, because alcohol depletes B vitamins. And now with immunity being a big concern, the problem is a lot of people, like, alcohol sales have gone through the roof. And people are at home, there's more people drinking, but what they don't realize is not only is alcohol depleting your B vitamins, which is essential for mental health, like mental wellness, and for metabolism, making use of the foods and turning it into fuel and having your body use it. Like, you need B vitamins for the metabolism of proteins, carbohydrates, and fats. And so if you're drinking and consuming sugar, you're negatively impacting your B vitamins. That will directly impact your mental health, but it also compromises your immune system. So we want to make sure that we are nourishing our body with a variety of foods. You can get a lot of B vitamins from various sources of vegetable foods, but also animal foods. And one of the big ones that comes out is B12. You can get that from a lot of animal foods, but you can also get it from tofu, from soy products.
What about butternut squash?
Yeah, there's definitely you have to eat, like, the most important thing is butternut squash is great. It also has vitamin A, which is good for the immune system, among other things. But we have to make sure we're getting a variety of foods into our eating, because you got to remember, like, when we look at vegetables and fruits, there's a variety of colors, and there's a variety of colors because the different colors symbolize different nutrients, essentially. So, like, you think that, bunnies, they eat carrots, orange, that's vitamin A in the eyes, also good for the immune system. I always encourage people to eat a variety of foods, because you don't get one food doesn't have everything you need. And so you eat a rainbow of colors, you eat a variety of foods from fruits and vegetables, a variety of different protein sources, and especially for vegetarians, or vegans, it's very important to eat a very big variety of vegetable source foods, because you really want to try and make sure you're getting enough foods, especially to make sure you're getting a sufficient protein. So yeah, like the biggest take home would be consume a lot of fruits and vegetables in a variety of colors to get a variety of vitamins and minerals, and consume raw and cooked, because some vegetables are digested better once they've been even steamed a little, so the fibers are broken down, they're not as hard to digest. And then also, you also want to eat some raw, because vitamin C gets damaged, right? It's sensitive to heat. So if you're always eating cooked foods, you're maybe not getting as enough vitamin C as you need, and that's essential for the immune system. And then like B vitamins, essential for mental health and so many other things in the body, many functions.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
Beautiful. Thanks.
Welcome.
Yeah, variety and color, and whole real foods, like we were talking about, plant-based foods, like living foods.
Yeah.
Like rainbow.
A rainbow.
A
exactly.
rainbow of color. I love that, because it's like, what foods do I pick? Well, looking at your grocery cart, or what your selection is, and how many colors do you see? If you see one color, you might need to step out of your comfort zone and choose another color to integrate with the one color. But rainbow,
exactly.
like the rainbow theory, I think that's the most beautiful thing. If we can see it like that, then there's a whole array of foods to choose from. Like I can think of yellow foods, and I can think of orange foods, and I can think of red foods, and all the colors of the rainbow. I'm trying to think of a purple food right now off the top of my head.
Well, red onions. You could do red onions, right?
Yeah, eggplant. There's plums. There's like
sometimes is purple, and sometimes you get those purple carrots. You know,
yeah.
I don't know how they make them, but there's some sort of purple carrot strain. I hope it's okay, whatever they did to them.
Well, I heard that that's what the carrots were originally like, and they custom made them into orange, but there an array of colors for carrots. I don't know if that's true. Or
Yeah,
not,
the sweet potato, I can buy like a colorful version. I can buy the rainbow carrots of sweet potato.
Well, it's like peppers. They start as green, and then they change in color, right? So it's not like, there's usually an evolution as it grows and it's cultivated, right? I'm not as familiar as to what they're doing now, but I hope not everything's genetically modified. That's usually why I buy organic or try to avoid GMO, because you don't want it to be completely changed. But yeah, you want it to have it in its full form.
Anything that you put in your body that's going to genetically modify you, I know I'm going to stay away from, because it scares the living shit out of me, about like, if that's going to genetically modify me, what am I then susceptible for? And then and then I'm responsible for myself, responsible to take care of myself. Nobody's going to take care of me. So if I got to be careful around what I put in my body. And we talk about, you mentioned some amazing points, Dana, today around, the alcohol sales went up during this time, and all of those things that probably weren't good for us were available immediately, and we weren't given access. And then the fear increased, and then we were like, what are we going to do? How are we going to absolutely maintain health? And it was shocking that the LCBO was allowed to stay open this whole time. It's fucking crazy, and depletion of that and the access to that. I know that it can't be taken away completely, but that was the only thing that was pretty much widely open right at the beginning of this whole thing.
Yeah, and some other things. So it's a good point, Phil. And I mean, it's definitely, I can feel another session about alcohol and those sort of drinks, because you can't get organic wines. And is red wine really good for you? What does it have in you that makes things good? But I don't know if that's on the kicking list at the moment. What is the? Yeah, we're sort of at the final 5 minutes of the kick-in, Danna, and I'm wondering, was there anything else on the kick-in list we should cover?
Yeah, there was the protein. Essentially, like, I always want to remind everyone that getting sufficient protein for your needs is integral for immune function, because protein isn't just about, like having strong muscles and being fit. It's protein, just remember, is the building blocks. is the building blocks, and it repairs and rebuilds not just muscles, but all our cells in our body. And it's important for guys. It's important for immune system function, for like the cells, the T cells, like for the fighter cells to come in. Like you need the proper amount of protein to help your immune system function properly, to anything that's repairing and rebuilding, regenerating, like cells, everything. And so that's why it's so important for, it's so important for immune system function. So like one of the key take homes for me is always with vegetarian or vegan ways of eating, like people who are vegetarian or vegan, they really need to know how to complement their foods and combine their foods properly.
So what are the best examples of those proteins then? Let's say meat proteins and non-meat proteins.
Some of the best sources of protein?
Sources, yeah.
Okay, so one of my favorite proteins would be tempeh. My vegetable sources of proteins would be tempeh. I didn't know, guys. Okay, sorry.
That's okay. That's okay.
Vegetable sources of protein. So this is my life with COVID. So now I have all my kids at home with me.
Do they want to be in the shot?
Yeah, who are they? Introduce us.
They don't like being on video, which is ironic.
Oh, okay.
Do you guys want to be on the video? You want me to show everyone? No. Okay.
Wow, they're quiet.
Yes.
Actually, the kids love barbecued tempeh. So not only is tempeh a good vegetable source of protein, but it's also a fermented food. So it's kind of a double whammy.
What is tempeh made of?
It's fermented soybeans.
Okay.
So out of all of them, I always suggest non-GMO, like organic soy products, if you're going to consume them. I also like for people to be mindful of the amount of soy they consume, because it can definitely impact hormones. Tempeh is one of the ones that have a less impact on hormones. It's more balancing. Whereas tofu, tofu tends to increase estrogen. And whereas tempeh doesn't do the same. It's just because it's a fermented food, and it's very different. Tofu is very processed. So we need to be mindful of that. Another one is hemp seeds. Hemp seeds are great. Like 3 tablespoons is 11 grams of protein. So that's a great way to get a vegetarian source of protein. And then there's other things like spinach. Even though it's not a high protein source, spinach is actually a complete protein because it has the right proportion of amino acids, the right distribution of amino acids to make it complete. It's just not a high protein source. So it's a great to combine with all your vegetarian meals to make it complete.
So those Popeye cartoons where there was some accuracy to the spinach.
Spinach.
That's what to remember then. That makes it easy.
That's incredible. Spinach every day.
Spinach every day. I used to sneak it into my kids' smoothies.
Amazing, because you can't taste it. It's pretty neutral, and then I know that it's high in oxalic acid too, which is a cleansing agent for your cells, so it helps to get rid of the waste as well, and nourish you. In a green, and it doesn't taste funny.
Yeah,
it's amazing.
Yeah,
good work, Papa.
And then there's always protein from an animal source is always complete. So people who eat meat typically don't have enough problem eating protein. Actually, sometimes people eat too much protein, and that can make the body really acidic. So it's really important to find what you need in terms of like who you are, your activity level, how well do you metabolize protein. There's so many factors, but there's general rules of thumbs, which I've helped clients gain weight or lose weight according to protein.
And sometimes I think it comes down to their blood type too, right? There's certain blood types that take meat protein, but other ones are better with non-meat protein, as you know. So you have to be mindful of what your blood type is, and eat your blood type. But there's all that whole customization based on all those factors like you were speaking about. So that's really beautiful. And he did finally get in the shot. There he is. Perfect.
My youngest. He's the one who's tested COVID positive and has no symptoms.
Okay.
None, not a one.
All right, and he gets to stay home and do video.
Yeah. And then,
good idea on the earphones. I might invest in a pair of those for my daughter. Yeah, that would be beautiful. Well,
Yeah.
listen, thanks so much for your shares today on immunity boosting kick-ins. And I just wanted to take a moment to thank everyone for coming in live and also on the replay, and that the sun and warmth and love in our heart goes out to everyone until next week when we come together on the COVID Freedom Sessions at 12:30 Eastern on this channel and across many channels. All the best, and thanks again.
Thank you, Donna.
Thank
Thank you, Chris.
you.
Thanks,
Thank
Katerina.
you.
Okay, bye now.